And there goes Kelsey's butt out of frame, and she's back in frame.
Did you see my?
No, I saw like what I saw was like maybe like a corner of your like mid back and the bottom of your shirt. Not quite your butt, but it was like right at the point.
Okay.
I mean, I saw from because on StreamYard I have the power of actually seeing behind the scenes at all times when the theme song's playing. So
Yeah.
I did see you jump out of frame, and I think the camera caught the tail end of it. Anyway, everyone, welcome to our Iron Man 3 commentary track. We're gonna get right into the movie at like 3 minutes. So I'm giving you 3 minutes now to like set up your Disney Pluses, set up your Blu-rays, your DVDs, whatever you have for Iron Man 3. Or if you're like Kelsey and you just have the movie committed to memory, you can go off that as well. This is
All
Kelsey.
right.
This is Dill. Dill's a
Yes.
little loopy on painkillers. Dill just had surgery this week. But rather than take a week off of podcasting, I said, you know what? I'm far enough away that you really can't see all the oozing and what's its galore in my eyes. So that was a play on Little Mermaid, which is also coming out in a few weeks at the time of
Mm-hmm.
recording. And I said ooze its because it was an oozing eye instead of who's its. Anyway, Kelsey, how are you as everyone's getting their Disney Pluses set up? Welcome to this, our first video in the 10-year retrospective celebrating the films of 2013. We are the inaugural video in a long series of videos that I'm doing with you, with Chad, with Matt. How you feeling?
I'm honored to be a part of this little rewatch you're doing, Dill. You pitched this to me like literally last week when we were filming. Oh God, our Guardians 3 review, and I was like, oh my God, that's so fun! A little
Yeah.
10-year recap from
Well,
2013.
because we did do it again last year as well. We did Avengers last year for
Yes, yes,
the
we
10 years,
did.
and then the year before, I don't know if we did anything because no, I don't think we did. I did stuff on my channel, but it was fun watching Avengers 10 years later, and I think it's gonna be fun watching Iron Man 3 10 years later because we've had so much come out since, and
Yes.
at that point we had only really one big landmark film. Um,
I'm sorry. Just to clear some things up, I did launch out of frame because
oh
I
yeah,
was because we're sitting and we're watching this movie for the next 2 hours, and I knew I wasn't gonna survive without chapstick, and I was like, "Oh, quick, I'm gonna go grab my chapstick," and then I just
yeah.
I was
She needs
curious
her
to
lips
see
to
if
look
you
nice for Mr. Aldrich Killian. Okay, so we're almost at 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, we're gonna hit play. So get your fingers on the buttons, get them ready, because as soon as we hit 3 minutes, which is in 10, we're gonna hit the play button. So everyone get yours
okay,
ready on 1, 2, 3, play. We're gonna play at 3 minutes. Ready? 1, 2, 3, play, and we are
okay.
playing Iron Man 3. The hardest part
Let
about these commentaries, Kels, is
me
like
get the
as soon as we press
subtitles on.
play as soon as we press play, it's like me trying to figure out how to balance the volume and the subtitles. And
No, you're so right, Jill.
I'm like doing all the
Okay.
settings now just to make sure we have all the balance. And it really dives in. We have no theme song. We're just in a cold
Mhm.
open already.
Oh, because this movie has one of the best Marvel openings. See, I'm Blue by Eiffel 65, I think that's the name of them. This is
I
oh my
guess.
god, this is such an epic intro. This is, I think, one of my favorite intros of all
Yeah.
the
And look
MCU
at that, the
films.
Paramount logo. So this was before Disney bought Marvel. So it was Paramount
Yeah.
produced. That's wild. A Viacom
No
company. And we opened in
for him and
1999.
himself. Yes, because they're
In
really
Switzerland.
set the scene right off the bat with the song, they're taking us back to the
Hmm.
'90s with this one.
Yeah. Oh, already
And
off the
then we
bat,
see
we young John Favreau.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A little Ho Yinsen drop,
Yeah.
little because this is the tech summit they met at
Mhm.
in Bern, Switzerland, which
And I
we
gotta say, I mean, Rebecca Hall, we talked about her a few weeks ago on The Town, but like
yeah,
she's so good at everything.
yeah,
It's great to see her pop up. I wish she had a more substantial role so she could continue on. That's always the bad thing about like these one-offs, like her, Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther. It's like, you're only there for so long until you're either killed off or sent off. Like it's not like
right.
a Robert Downey Jr. where you're like, all right, we're gonna get 10 more of him. Um,
She is a tough fate in this movie because she is
yeah.
so enjoyable to watch.
But we won't
But
spoil what happens. And look, oh my God, there's
we
Guy
won't
Pearce. As a Guy Pearce fan watching this film, I had only seen Guy Pearce as like the cool, kind of brooding, quiet Guy Pearce, and then to see him
yeah.
come in this role, I was worried it was going to be like a Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor type thing, where it was just almost so not the character. But I mean, I love what they do with this character. It's very
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, very, very Max Dillon Electro. Absolutely. The only thing I'd seen him in before this was LA Confidential.
Yeah, which is a very good film. I think did we take the
Super
same film
good.
class or we were in different film classes? We always had to have this conversation.
Did you had it with Mrs. Everhart?
No, I had Miss Balsero, so we did have
Oh,
different ones.
no.
I think Taylor was in my class. We have a
Mm,
friend Taylor, for anyone listening, and it is not Taylor Swift.
probably.
It's the better Taylor S. Um, well, we would say the best Taylor S. Most other
Yeah,
people are more fond of Taylor Swift because they actually know who that is. But shout out to you, Taylor.
definitely the best person I know with the initials TS for sure.
Also a TS, Tony Stark. Back to the movie. See, good segues.
Wow.
So I can't drink because I alluded to I had surgery this week. I had painkillers, so I can't drink. So I got my polar seltzer here, like an old grandpa. Oh, maybe just
Honestly, dude.
chowing down with the seltzer. I love when you crack open a good seltzer or carbonated beverage. You just get
Yeah,
that mist at the top. For anyone just listening, which you probably are just listening because this is a commentary track, you're going to be listening to this with the movie. But if you're watching us while watching the movie, you will see the mist coming off of my
this
drink.
is such a classic move. She just took his glasses off of his face and put them on her. I'm like, that's a flirty move.
Oh,
That's so classic.
what I love about Shane Black movies, and this is the first Shane Black Iron Man film. This is the only Shane Black Iron Man film, but the first film not directed by Jon Favreau in the hands of someone
Mhm.
else, Shane Black. I'm a huge Shane Black fan. We watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on this channel.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a huge fan of his other stuff, The Nice Guys. But he really loves setting stuff around the holidays. Kind of just gives it an extra added flavor. Like it gives you an excuse to kind of play with the atmosphere a little bit when you're doing something set around the holidays. In this case, it's New Year's Eve, and we're gonna get some Christmas stuff in it too. But even like this stuff, it's like we can just kind of play with the idea. Everyone can kind of relate to it because it's set at a certain holiday. Like kind of we get
Yeah.
the vibe that it's a little cold outside, probably even if it's the West Coast, which I believe it's where are we at in this? Switzerland? So it's probably cold.
Yeah, we're in Switzerland right now. You know who I am. I'm so excited we're watching this still. It's been a minute since I've watched Iron Man
I know.
3. And when I say a minute, I probably mean like 6 months. Um, but this
And I
is
gotta
uh,
say,
one of my
I
favorites, one of my
yeah,
tops in the
I was gonna
MCU.
say this is something that I think a lot of people are either like super big fans of or like hate. I don't think anyone's really in the middle on Iron Man 3. I don't think anyone's like, oh, it was good. I think everyone either like loves it for the reasons that we do, or they hate it for the reasons we do, you know?
Oy, he was just doing his recalibrations on his arm.
Mhm.
That's why I went, ooh.
I think
His
what's so nice
robot
is
arms.
yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
my god. Or just like his little like tech robot guys, like they don't even have like faces or voices or anything, and you just become attached to them. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
was
I
gonna
mean?
say it sucks because after this, we never get another solo Iron Man film. So all of them are with in conjunction with the other superheroes to where
Mm,
like I almost kind of forget that like when it's just him, we can play around with the idea that he's this brilliant mechanical engineer genius. And I feel like we lose some of that in the other films because you have to focus on all these characters. You don't get time of just Iron Man chilling with all his gadgets and having fun. You know what I mean? Like this is so
yeah,
Shane Black. Shane Black is a comedian's director, but can still get to the heart of things. So there you go. Christmas. It's Christmas.
yeah, he's testing his suit that's gonna automatically attach onto him.
Of course, I always have some trivia when we come into this, and not like trivia like trivia, not like details about the film because we obviously could see that, but like behind the scenes trivia. And one of the things is like
Please.
you see like the wooden dummy that he's using for like his training for I believe it's taekwondo or kung fu or
Yeah.
something. He was actually using it kind of as he used those techniques when he was preparing for Sherlock Holmes. It was a very action heavy film. This
Mm,
action, a lot of it is CG, so he's not doing a ton of his own stunts. But for Sherlock Holmes, he had to do a lot of it. So
right.
he had like some formal training in like martial arts for Sherlock Holmes that he like kind of got into it and wanted to actually study to become a black belt. So at the time of filming for this movie, when they were like filming this scene with like the dummy and all the dodging and kung fu kind of stuff, he had mentioned in an interview that he was studying to be a black belt. I don't know if he ever did become a black belt, but I think that's pretty
Wow.
cool that Robert Downey Jr. may be a black belt in karate or taekwondo or martial arts. I don't know if it goes if belts are for every type of martial art. I don't know martial arts enough to know the different
Uh,
subcategories, but
sure. I think maybe there's a belt system. I was talking to my manager the other day who coaches jujitsu, and there's also a belt system in that one as well because he was like, "Oh, I'm a something belt." I forget what he
mhm.
said.
And this stuff is all great too because you really need to feel the fear of the Mandarin, quote
Yeah,
Mandarin. For anyone who hasn't seen this film, we won't say anything more, but like you need to feel the fear so that way any sort of reveals later hit that much stronger. But also still because you need to set up this underlying fear. I mean, this is a movie you're coming off of the Avengers, so you need to try to find a way to like top not the scale, but definitely top the stakes in terms of like justify continuing the story. Like where else can we go from here? And it's like let's put him in a place where he's like dealing with trauma, but now this whole terrorist angle is coming in because Avengers was very, gods from other universes and planets, but now it's like no, this is
yeah,
terrorist shit. So that's I think a very interesting way to kind of up the stakes for the second phase because it is the kickoff of phase 2. And Ben Kingsley is so good.
yeah. This guy really had me fooled for all of this movie.
Yeah.
I wish I was recording the look on my face
The first time you
get
watched,
to
yeah.
the when we get to the
Well,
plot twist.
yeah. But he's so good.
Yeah.
And I think he got cast I it's hard to not talk about spoilers, but I wonder if he got cast for the other role or for this role first. Like, did they want Ben Kingsley because he was a get for this type of role? Because I feel
Mm,
like this is kind of the menacing presence you expect with Kingsley, but then he does the other half of it so well later. So it might have
yeah.
just been he was the perfect person for both. But I really think like if they had even gone 100% of the way through with this plot line as this character, I think he still would have been just as convincing. He's just so good as that. Here we go. Is this the first time we see the Iron Patriot?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we saw him as War Machine though in Iron Man 2, right?
We saw him as War Machine in Iron Man 2, but this is the first time we see Iron Patriot. We see a Bill Maher cameo, a
Mm.
Joan Rivers cameo. Rest in peace, Joan Rivers.
Do you want to know who was up for the role of the Mandarin? Against, I mean, no one was really against Ben
Yeah,
Kingsley, but do you know
I would
this?
love
You know this?
to.
I'll
No,
give you a hint. It is someone who
do tell.
later in Phase 2 got cast as one of the main roles in the MCU. So that's your hint.
In Phase 2?
Hmm.
Alright, so what are we rocking with in Phase 2? We got, obviously, Iron
I'll tell
Man
you right now,
3.
maybe not a main character of Phase 2, but a character in Phase 2 that goes on to become a main character in the MCU.
Okay. Hmm.
Oh. See, I kind of love the older movies when it's like not MCU, but like older, like Spider-Man, X-Men or whatever, where like the identities of heroes were kept secret. But there's the thing I love about the MCU is at times they show that because they aren't secret identities, they are essentially celebrities in this world. And I wish
Yeah.
there was more of that in the MCU.
I love how he's signing this little boy's, like, placemat or whatever at the restaurant. He looks over at him and says, "I love you. I loved you in A Christmas Story,
Yeah.
by the way," because the kid looks so much like Ralphie, and I'm wondering if that's gotta be just, Robert Downey
Yeah.
Jr. looking at this random kid that was cast and
Mhm.
saying that, right?
Maybe. I mean, we do know Shane Black has an affinity for Christmas films, so
That's true.
maybe it's a collaboration. I mean, I think Shane Black
You
also really knows how to play to Robert Downey Jr.'s strengths, so it could very much be a collaborative effort. I mean, we saw them in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang play off of one another beautifully in terms of writing and
right.
acting. And yeah, this is where we get a sense that like the main battle he's facing is an anxiety attack, and I think that's so natural for what he just came out of. I mean, he is essentially the death of the Avengers. He just happened to live, but he's the closest thing to death we got in the last film, aside from Coulson. Just an FYI, a little trivia fact: Peter Billingsley, the original Ralphie, did produce the first Iron Man, and he does have a cameo in it. And we later
Yeah.
see that cameo again shown in Spider-Man: Far From Home when they're going through
Yep.
old scenes. But pretty cool.
What's the name of his character, Dill? Do you know that?
That I don't know. Do you?
If
you say it, it's off the board for. Okay, I was gonna say it's off the board for
no,
trivia
you.
because I already opened that door, so you're never gonna.
You already asked someone that.
I don't think I ever asked the name of the character. I asked the actor for sure. Because Peter Billingsley, that's a name. If you were there, you would know. Neither of us were there in the 80s, but all right. So what's the name, Kels? Who was originally supposed to, or not supposed to play, but who got a callback for the role of the Mandarin?
Someone who gets introduced in phase 2 and then becomes a bigger deal later.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm probably very wrong.
It's not Elizabeth Olsen.
Damn, that was my first guess.
Imagine her with a beard.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Josh Brolin.
No.
Who was it?
Think of someone not white.
Okay, that's what I was hoping. I was hoping the answer was going to be no, because I was like, they weren't going to cast him, right?
When I say big deal, I mean like now a very big deal in the MCU. Like could be the MCU headliner, if you know what I mean.
Are you alluding to Anthony Mackie?
I am.
Oh my
Anthony
God,
Mackie,
he was
Mr.
up for
Captain
the
America.
Mandarin?
He
I
was
could
up for the Mandarin.
never see him being super threatening.
He probably got called in, was like, no, absolutely not. But and that was probably what started the conversations about, hey.
Yeah, probably. Because I can see him doing the the other half of it. And, during the later half of the movie, but the whole beginning stuff, I don't know.
Do you like Guy Pearce in this role? Are you a fan? I know some people are hot and cold on Guy Pearce in this movie.
No, I think that he's excellent, and I think he does this role very well because, he kind of has this is like kind of his like ugly duckling moment, right? Where he's now blossomed into this swan. He's impressing Pepper, showing her all his fancy gadgets, and he just comes off kind of like really charismatic in the beginning, to the point where when the twist happens, you kind of like it makes sense that he ends up being who he is, but you kind of don't see it coming because he spends this time being so like suave and cool.
Yeah. And I like what they do with Pepper in this movie because for the first two films, she's very much more like your damsel in distress kind of. And I think for this film, they really were trying to steer clear of that. I mean, I know Kevin Feige was trying to say like, oh, but Iron Man needs something to fight for. But then also the argument was also, well, he can still do that, but also give Pepper agency and let Pepper save the day at times and be her own character, have her own arc in this film, especially because he's the one who's, I'd say, in more distress. He's in more need of saving. Maybe not necessarily he's the one falling off the building and needs to be caught before he hits the floor, but he's also, I'd say, emotionally the one who needs, he's the damsel in the sense that he just needs help,
Yeah. And it's an interesting depiction in this film of like mental health and anxiety, which like is kind of ahead of its time for 2013, I feel. Especially have to have your main protagonist, your main superhero, who's supposed to be the brilliant, nothing can ever really touch him, Tony Stark, to be struggling with like PTSD and anxiety. It's kind of like, huh?
Yeah, because like you can make a man of any size or shape fly, with the machinery he has, but you can't fix what he's got going on inside, and I think that's something really interesting.
Which is why it's long gone now, but the moment where he's like in the suit and he's like, Jarvis, like, what's going on? Like, is it my brain? Is it my heart? Like, what's happening? Because he wants something that's like an easy fix. But then Jarvis is just like, well, according to my assessment, you're just having a panic attack. And, like, that's not something tangible, you can tinker with and fix.
Mhm. I wonder if Jon Favreau, like, enjoys being on set as a director, but not directing. Like, do you
Mm.
because I mean, he is an actor first, so, like, obviously, he likes
Well
being on set, but it's like, do you think it's tough for him to have directed the first 2 films and now sit around and watch someone else direct? Or do you think he's more like, "I trust you, you're in good hands, I'm glad." Because originally he had stopped directing, he had signed on to do a movie called Magic Kingdom, which was a sci-fi movie that never actually went into production. He was all in pre-production for it, and it didn't pan out. So I wonder if there's
Mhm.
even more regret there, or if he's just kinda content. Because I mean, we all know he goes on to greater things, not greater things, but just as great things. I mean, he is one of the guys running Star Wars right now. He's directing so many episodes of The Mandalorian, and he did the Jungle Book remake and the Lion King remake, which I'm
Yeah.
not huge fans of either, but they made a lot of money. So, like, I think he's fine, and he still has his role in the MCU. He was in No Way Home, which is one of the biggest movies of all time. Endgame, which is the biggest movie of all time, but it's still like, I wonder if he's just like a little jealous that like other people kind of took the MCU and exploded it even more, even though he was the one who kind of like got it off the ground running with Feige and all involved. But you know, there's a little jealousy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how it came about that he wasn't, you know, running the 3rd movie. I wonder if it was his decision to step down, if
Yeah,
Kevin Feige kinda came to him and was like,
yeah,
"Listen, I think we're gonna go in a different direction for the 3rd movie."
mhm.
Because for all the other, not Thor's trilogy and not Captain America either, but all the other ones to follow, like
Ant
Ant-Man, that's all
Man.
been Peyton Reed.
Well, and even Thor, the
Spider-Man.
last two have still been the same director. They've been like taken over by Taika.
Right.
Now it's just been Taika's franchise.
Right,
And
right,
then, yeah,
right.
like you said, Spider Man, John Watts, and then Guardians with James Gunn,
Right.
Avengers with the Russo brothers, and Whedon kind of transitioned over. But again, two directors.
I can't imagine that Kevin would take it just, like, from underneath him to be like, "You're fired."
Yeah. Well, also, well, like I just said, he signed on to do a different movie. That's why he didn't want to direct it. But I wonder if
Right.
when that fell through, if then he was like, "Can I come back?" And they were like, "Well, we already have Shane," because also Shane Black at the time, pretty good
Sure.
director. I mean, has good credits. So like, it was probably a big get for Marvel because Phase Two is really where you see them start to get like a lot of their interesting. Like this is where they get the Russo brothers in Phase Two. They get James Gunn in Phase
Mhm.
Two. They get um whoever directed Thor: The Dark World. Alan, no, who
Alan
is it?
Taylor.
Alan Taylor. Yeah,
Alan Taylor.
we'll talk about them next week.
It's Kenneth Branagh, Alan Taylor, and then Taika.
Taika Taika. Oh, he's
I
not in there.
think this one, I think I've definitely out of all the Phase 2 films, I've definitely seen Captain America: Winter Soldier the most, but then this is definitely a close second.
Not Guardians.
Oh, shit.
That's your favorite
I
one,
always I always forget that Guardians is in Phase
right?
2
Yeah, but
because
also it
it's
is your favorite
so
movie, so maybe you haven't seen it as much because it would taint the experience if you watched it too much. Or no, it is the most watch for you. You just forgot.
well, you know why I never really watched Guardians a ton? Because I always hated watching Groot die.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what kept me away from watching Guardians, where it's like in this one in Civil War, I don't really have to worry about losing anyone super close to me,
hmm
which is why I think Guardians 3 is gonna be a tough rewatch because, we talked about that.
I
But I
once
am excited for when it comes out on Disney Plus
yeah
because that's gonna be, "Oh, I'm watching this again."
yeah yeah. I read an interesting take once that this scene with Pepper and the whole like him kind of seducing her in the suit and then her being like realizing it's not him in the suit is like an allegory for sexual enhancement drugs and guys who have anxiety and like have so much anxiety that they can't like perform well, so they use
Mm,
something to help them
sure.
strengthen the libido.
Yeah.
And in his in his he has a literal suit to do that for him, to literally, you know be the Viagra, only for her to see right through it. But I think that's interesting, like, or just not necessarily distinctly that, but like the idea that is a metaphor for him trying to like compensate and thinking his suits can solve his problems when really it
Yeah.
can't. And that's
No,
what he learns in this whole movie.
I like the whole double entendre of that deal.
And then
I'm
we
on
see it again in
board.
Infinity War with Hulk. So MCU has a thing about erectile dysfunction, I guess. But
Maybe Kevin Feige's trying to tell us something.
hmm. I didn't say it. I didn't say yes or no.
Um, who's to
And
say?
then shot right to the bed, where traditionally the man would spoon the girl, but you see, he's the kind of the one in the more fetal position. Like he needs
Mhm.
cut. Like the way he's laying, he looks like he needs to be cuddled. See, like he's almost the one who's in the submissive position, which I love. I mean, I love Shane Black and how he kind of finds that vulnerability in Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in this movie.
Right. Yeah. This is kind of where we feel the energy taking a turn. It's like, oh God, this is gonna get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, because ultimately the Avengers is a fun movie, but the stakes were so big that we forget.
Yeah.
One
But
really
also,
important thing before we keep going with this scene is really cool. That I just wanted to point this out before we move on from this scene. Um, Firepower, when we see her, we haven't seen her yet. See if you can make out where she's standing, like whose name specifically they're standing next to.
are you talking about the girl? Who are you talking about? Firepower.
Um, Sorry, I just want to make sure it's a scene.
Sure. This is Savin. I think that's his name.
Oh, I'm sorry, him. Firepower, it says in the script, is Ashley Hamilton, and Ashley for me is a girl's name. But no, that's Firepower there. He's sitting right above Robert Downey Jr.'s. That was it. Robert Downey Jr., that shot. That's Robert Downey Jr.'s actual handprints and signature at the Chinese theater.
Oh no way!
hmm Sorry, I wrote in my notes Firepower, Ashley Hamilton sitting next to handprints. And
Oh,
then
so his
I forgot that Ashley Hamilton is Ashley the guy. Um,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, they're doing this scene over Roberts. That's probably one of the things where Shane Black was like, "Oh my god, we got to do it there." Like
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
those like
yeah.
inside jokes almost. I
Wow, so
apologize
this
to
is
Ashley
filmed
Hamilton
at
for thinking he was a
outside
girl.
the hey, all good. What nope. Nobody's Nerfic, Dill.
Poverty's nervous. Yep. Ooh, he just got thrown.
Oh god, and he's shooting up his little extremis drug.
Don't you miss actual sets?
Yeah.
Don't you miss
So
being able
this
to actually throw someone through glass?
so does that mean this was actually filmed outside the real Chinese theater in
That
LA?
wasn't, but for the
Well,
most
that
part, yeah,
wasn't,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. It was, yeah.
that stuff all above
hmm
his handprint and stuff. That's
hmm
cool.
Yeah, all this isn't, but obviously. And this is probably where the movie premiered, if I had to guess. Either this or the El Capitan, I think it's called, or the something. It's a Disney-owned theater.
Capitan. That
No, that
reminds
can't be
me
the
of
name. Wait.
something. Were you ever worried for Happy when you watched this?
I don't
Did you
know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, the El Capitan. That's the name of it. That's the one that Disney owns. So that's probably where it premiered, not the Chinese theater. Um, was I ever nervous for Happy, like in this moment specifically?
Yeah, like when he's, he's like in a coma for the rest of the movie. I
Uh
think just so much else goes on in this movie that you kind of forget that he's like in a hospital.
what I've noticed with Marvel, and this is not a Guardians 3 spoiler, don't read into it, but whenever a character doesn't die immediately and is in some sort of coma, I almost always feel like they're gonna live. I don't feel
Sure.
like a lot of the time you see someone in a coma only for at the very end of the film they die. Unless you're on like Grey's Anatomy and it's like the story is about them coming to terms with pulling the plug. I really feel like if they die on the scene. And then like, the comas for the characters that are we're gonna learn a lot from their coma and then see them get out of it alive at the end. That's what I've kind of been getting, especially with mainstream Hollywood filmmaking and franchise filmmaking. That just seems to be a trope they do a lot. I don't know.
No, yeah, you're right.
I love the way he says theater,
Theater.
terror. So good.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine Anthony Mackie doing any of this.
I can't even. I couldn't even impersonate. I can't even do an Anthony Mackie impression as it is, let alone as the Mandarin.
Well, ethically, I don't think you can do an impression of Anthony Mackie.
I would agree. I would agree. I would agree. You caught me there.
Downton Abbey, his favorite.
Oh yeah. Gosh, all the people. I'm sorry. I'm just traumatically thinking about 5 minutes ago, and all the people are like, Ashley Hamilton's not a girl, Dylan. I'm waiting for this girl to be sitting by Robert Downey Jr.'s footprints. I'm like, where is she?
No,
And
because
realizing,
I thought you were talking about because there's a girl that starts hunting him. I don't know her name,
hmm.
so maybe I should just in case. Uh,
I like how the color palette even kind of mutes here. Like it really is
mhm.
trying to like fit the vibe. That even in the first scenes with like the Christmas and stuff, there's a little more color, but it's also still like, it's still distinguishedly colorful.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, you telling me. He just gave his address to not only the whole world, but a terrorist.
I think that's probably the most unrealistic part of this. And maybe it's not because of what he's dealing with in this movie, but no celebrity in their right mind, I think, would ever willingly give out their address of their primary home unless it was like,
Right.
I mean, like I've done celebrity tours in LA of like driving by people's houses, but even then I'm like, it's probably their third or fourth house. And
Right.
there's probably like 7 gates of lasers before you can even get to the door. And I'm in a bus where I cannot leave.
Yeah.
Um, like I remember going by Simon Cowell's house and Dr. Phil's house are like the two I distinctly remember and being like, Simon Cowell has a nice garden.
That is so strange to just like drive around and like invade people's privacy like that.
And it wasn't even like we went in. It was like literally we drove by. It was like driving down the street. And it's just been like, oh, that's Dr. Phil's place.
I
I
would
was like,
not feel
cool.
safe if like a bunch of people found out where I lived.
Hmm.
But I guess he does have Jarvis and all of his fancy gadgets, so I guess he's betting on like if any Joe Schmo comes knocking on his door, he'll
Right.
have,
Yeah.
safety precautions.
Right. But still,
But
it's
still, not wise.
maybe not the smartest thing. And I think that's supposed to show the cracks in him and how he's cracking.
Right.
And I love this play with visual effects. I almost get annoyed when it's too much visual effects going on, but like here that just feels it is fake, but it feels real to this universe. Like
Yeah.
of course he would have these holograms and shit. Look up if this was nominated for any Oscars. Do you know off the top of your head if it was?
Um, I'm trying to think back to when we talked about all the Oscar nominations for
I
Wakanda Forever.
was gonna say it's
If
only
I
been nominated. It was nominated for one Oscar. If you can guess what it is.
I'm going to guess visual effects.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say that was why I looked it up was because I was talking about how great the visual effects were, and then I laughed because that's
There you go.
exactly what it was awarded
There
or
it is.
nominated for. Now, do you know what it lost to?
In 20 so it would be the 2014 Oscars?
Yes.
Um, Movies that came out in 2013.
It's a good plug
Oh,
for Picture This because it is a Best Picture nominated film. Did not win Best Picture. And I'll give you a hint, it has only 2 actors in the film.
hold on, let me think. 2013, 2 actors in the film. The whole time?
The whole film is 2 actors the entire movie. And one of them dies a third of the way through. So 2/3 of it is a one-woman show.
I feel like you're gonna say it, I'm gonna feel like an idiot, but I
No,
can't.
it's not it hasn't had any sequels or anything, like, it's a one-off thing, but at the time, it was, like, the technical masterpiece, you know?
Is it Life of Pi?
No, Life of Pi was actually the year right before. You were close, though. Life of Pi won Best Visual Effects in 2013 for the years of 2012, so
Okay.
you're close there.
I've
I just
never
wanna
seen
point
that
out,
movie.
um, there's
Oh,
a
yeah, sure.
stocking Tony Stark, if you could see the stockings, he hangs one for Jarvis, and the colors that he just the stocking that happens to be Jarvis's is the same colors as Vision, and this is before Age of Ultron, so it's kinda, like, alluding and foreshadowing the fact that Vision would be a thing. So I just think it's kinda cool. It's, like, the
Oh my
red and the yeah.
god.
Mhm.
He
Isn't that
hangs
cool?
a stocking for Jarvis? That is such a fun fact.
It's one of those things that's in passing. That's why I made sure to hit it now because then you
Yeah.
can, like, kinda look for it, but I love Rebecca Hall, and I love how good she is at
So,
accents. You would never know. Wait, there.
what
No, that's not it.
that's the giant rabbit.
There it is, there it is.
Oh,
See?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jarvis
yeah,
is
yeah.
it's Vision's colors.
I
Isn't that
wonder who
cool?
the others are.
The
Because
others are
there's
on
no
the other side. It's
stockings.
just Pepper and Tony, and then Happy's, I think, is the little one.
He gets the little dinky one next to theirs.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Where is Rebecca Hall from? That she has an accent.
I believe it's just the UK, unless she's
This
uh,
is really cool. This
oh,
slow-mo
yeah.
shot of him getting the
Yeah,
suit on
she's
Pepper.
from London.
Okay. Wow, I had no idea.
Mhm. And her father is also British. I think it's her mother who's from America. Yeah,
You're
so
gonna
her
have to tell
mother's
me the you're gonna have to tell me the movie, Dale, because I don't have
oh,
any
you're
guesses.
still right. I'll give you a hint. It takes place in space.
The Martian. I'm kidding.
No, The Martian was
Um,
2 years later. Also nominated for visual effects.
is it like Gravity?
It is. It is Gravity.
Really? Is Anne Hathaway the one
It's Sandra Bullock.
oh, it's Sandra Bullock?
So it's Sandra
Which one
Bullock
was
and
it?
George Clooney, and it's basically Castaway in space. She's stranded in space.
Wow, that's crazy.
Which, if you haven't seen it, I kind of spoiled that her partner dies, but it's like really early in the movie because most of it's just her in space trying to figure out how the hell to get home with no fuel. It's quite something.
Oh,
Bless you. Allergy
bless
season, you know.
me. I'm just gonna get a tissue real quick.
Yeah. See, this is the stuff I love where Pepper's getting to like actually have some action.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is Tony's the damsel in distress. This is just
Okay.
nuts to me because I'm like, this was such a cataclysmic event in the MCU that like rarely gets touched upon now when we think of like the big moments of the MCU. Like it really is amazing that this is now something small in retrospect, but this was such a huge moment.
What, him getting his house wrecked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the score in this movie too.
And I love how the suit is kind of like its own character in this movie, like how it just
Yes.
bounced from Pepper to Tony,
Hmm.
and he even calls
Yes.
it at the end, he's like the prodigal son.
Do you know who made the score for this? Who composed it?
I sure do. I believe it's Brian Tyler.
It is. Mostly known for video games, but also did some
Yeah, I
movies.
could feel that. I get
Most
video game
recently,
vibes.
most recently, Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, word. That makes sense. If there's anyone who's gonna compose a superhero, I mean, a video game film, I feel like it should be the video game guy.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, just so cool. All the gadgets. It's funny to think that like the core premise, like the core piece of the movie is him on his own, and we still haven't even gotten there yet. But I
Yeah.
think that just goes to show how well paced this is, despite a chunk of it, us not even getting to the main part of the movie. Just the setup is so good.
I can't believe people dislike this movie. I think this movie is so good. Cause like we're watching all the suits get destroyed. Oh, and there goes the robot arm. It's either dummy or you. I don't know which one.
Yeah, I guess people have issues with the third act, but I love it. The whole thing.
I have no
Just
complaints. No
yeah, it
notes.
just has such a personality. The visuals, the tone, but also like somehow brilliant in keeping things dark and actually having stakes that are more than just save the world from this looming presence. It's more so personal stakes, and I love it.
Yeah.
Still not over you ranking Pepper and Tony so low on your Valentine's Day couple ranking.
Um,
You
I
had
don't
them in like the
know.
top 10, but it was like
They're
they were 2 for me or 3 for me. I was like, wow, I'm shocked you had them any lower than like 5.
they're sweet, but there's like I feel like there's no drama with Pepper and Tony. Like we kind of get the will they, won't they a little bit in like Iron Man 1, but there's no spice. There's no spectacle.
I was gonna
There's
say,
no theater.
as you say that, their home is being destroyed,
I mean, like
and
between
he is at
them
the bottom of
specific.
the ocean. I know, I know.
I
It's
will
just funny
say
because you're
though.
while you're saying there's no spectacle, there's no drama. This is
Meanwhile, like
happening.
he's drowning.
I love this effect too, where the water's getting in the suit.
Yeah.
It's like the scene in Titanic with Kate Winslet on the bottom of the boat trying to climb her way through. I'm like, oh my god, it's like claustrophobia and drowning all mixed into one.
Still haven't seen
There
that
we
movie.
go.
Sorry, I've never seen the Titanic or Titanic, whatever it's called.
Did you just call it Titanic?
No, I just called it the Titanic when
Oh,
it's just Titanic, right?
freaking excellent. You missed your chance to see it on the big screen though. It was showing in a re-release like a few months ago. It's freaking
So
awesome.
now does he have the best-selling whatever again or whatever?
No, because it's still Avatar and Avengers Endgame back and forth. I don't know
Mm.
what it's at now. I think Endgame's back to number one, but I don't know. And this is where like the
And then
movie
we
for me, this is like the movie now. Like we're past
yeah,
the prologue. Now we're here.
we
And
completely
it's
forget about Rose Hill, Tennessee until we're flying.
yeah.
Why?
That's the thing. It's like such a dark story, but like I think Shane Black, more than almost everyone but James Gunn, perfectly understands when the joke is appropriate and when it's not. Like that
Yeah.
point, because that wasn't even like a joke. Like he wasn't trying to get a laugh out of it. It was just
No.
genuinely funny because of the delivery and him just being like, "Why?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
man,
I actually think I need to sleep now, sir.
ugh.
Aw, don't leave me, buddy.
It's almost like a parallel to Infinity War with the whole Peter Parker. I mean, the fact that he's literally left alone with only Nebula in that movie, and yeah,
That's
all the
crazy.
other.
I wonder what they talked about all that time.
But it's just so interesting. Like so many people abandon him, but not even like consciously. You know what I mean? It's more so.
Mhm.
Wow. I just love the visual of the suit, just lifeless next to him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like, I get it. It's not a Christmas film, but like I want a warm cup of hot cocoa right now.
No, I feel you, Dill.
It's a Christmas film to me.
Maybe we should put this in our, like, 25 days of Christmas lineup this year.
See, I tend not to do that only because the holidays are so busy. I do Halloween, but then Christmas, it's like it's hard to do 25 movies. Let's try it this year though. I'm gonna try it. Actually watching 25 movies.
I did 31 movies for Halloween, and it was hard.
See,
At
I have
least
fun
you
with
don't have
that.
to go to
The
the end of the month for Christmas.
the
Christmas is the
difference is
25th.
and the thing with Christmas and Halloween both is like horror films, most of the good ones are 90 minutes long, you know.
Yeah.
So it's easy to watch before bed if you just like go to bed at midnight, you start a movie at 10:30, you're done, you know. But with Christmas, I think it's the same thing. Like you're not watching 31 MCU movies, which is 2.5 hours each. It's like you're watching 90 minutes most nights.
Right.
But also you have the luxury of you were randomizing it, whereas I had to like I
Oh,
had a
yeah.
schedule. So I was like, I gotta watch this tonight. So no matter what mood I was in, I was like, gotta do it.
Right.
Love this kid.
Now we meet Harley Keener,
Yeah. Played by
played by
Ty
Ty
Simpkins.
Simpkins.
Yep. Do you know have you
Jake?
seen Ty Simpkins in anything else?
Maybe, but
What were you gonna
I
say?
don't know. No, I just said Jinx because we both said Ty
Oh,
Simpkins at,
I
like,
thought you
the
said
exact same
Jake
time.
because I thought you said Jake because it made me laugh because my brother, for anyone watching this, obviously you all don't know me that well. Um, my brother Jake, when he was younger, when we saw Jurassic World, it was very funny because it was like the older brother and younger brother, and the older brother was kind of like it was Nick Robinson, the guy who plays Love Simon, and he was kind of like just the brunette guy. His younger brother had this like kind of bluish eyes and the blondish brownish hair, and it like looked like me and my brother when we were younger. So it's just funny because this kid is the younger kid in Jurassic World as well, um, the first Jurassic World, and I always said it was like me and Jake. So it's funny that you said Jake, or I thought you said Jake. I said Jake,
Oh.
but this kid actually has grown up to do some cool things though. Like he was mostly in like it was this and it was um Jurassic World were like the two big things. And
Mhm.
then I think he kind of took some time off, but he was in one more big franchise. And I don't know how many movies you've seen in it because I don't know how much of a horror person you are. You ever seen the Insidious movies?
Um, I haven't just because those were the movies that I heard were, like, very scary.
Yeah, like a lot of jump scares. He's the
Yeah.
kid in Insidious as well. So he's
Oh,
like the kid.
word.
Um,
Wow.
I actually funny story. The Remleys, you know the Remleys. I'm dropping so many names of our friends. Uh, got me to go see that in 2013, 10 years ago. Um, went to see Insidious. It was my first horror movie ever. Insidious Chapter 2. And I was so
Yeah.
scared that I watched half of the movie, like, the typical hands over the eyes. I was gonna do it,
Yeah,
but then I
for
realized if
sure.
I touch my eye, it's gonna start bleeding.
Yeah,
Um,
don't.
but hands over the eyes the whole time.
Yeah.
And at the end, I was like, it's one of those things where you're so scared during it, but then afterwards you're like, "Oh, I wanna watch that again because now I've seen the scares." But I've never actually watched it again, and I'm thinking 10 years later, it might be time to revisit. Um, yeah,
Well,
10 years ago, I saw my
Avengers
first
Movie
horror film,
Club, Ty Simpkins.
right? What I was gonna say, though, is his newest thing, he was just in The Whale, which won Best Actor for, Brendan Fraser.
Brendan
He was
Fraser.
the kid well, he wasn't a kid, he was, like, this Christian guy. I guess he's still a kid, he was, like, a young adult, late teenager. Um
Mm.
Basically trying to like he was like the religious discussion in the film. So he's still working, which is awesome to see.
Oh my god,
Um,
he's, like, old now.
yeah, he's gonna be in
Well,
the new
he's
Insidious film. He's playing the kid grown up, Dalton. So that's gonna be fun. Like he's grown.
and when I say old, he's still younger than we are, so I don't know
Right,
why
but it's still compared to this. I mean, this is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He's 10 years older than this. I mean, I think of Jacob Tremblay. Room was in 2015. That's 8 years ago. And now I'm seeing him on the red carpet for Little Mermaid or blue carpet, sorry. And he's like he's a full grown man. I'm like, Jacob Tremblay, you are too old to be this.
Wait, how old is Jacob Tremblay these days?
He can't be any older than like 18, but still, he looks like a man. It's awful. Awful because like it makes me feel old, but like good for him because it means he's gonna be able to get more roles. But
He is, take a guess,
18.
16.
Oh, okay. But he still has hit puberty to the point where he looks old and it's weird.
Right. No, I
So I'm
understand.
like, you're the little kid in room that made me cry 8 years ago. And now you're gonna be playing like heartthrob roles. I can't.
So this is interesting, Dill, because coming up we find out that, Maya Hansen has been like a double agent this whole time.
Hmm. That's the MCU thing. You think you can trust them?
Which
Obadiah
we didn't
Stane,
which there's just so many
Mysterio.
unexpected moments from this film just because like,
Mhm.
not to be like that, but we don't really expect, like our woman characters in film to turn out to be evil or like working for the
Right.
bad guy, we expect
Exactly.
them to, be for the good guys. So it was,
And that's a good thing.
just well, what's up?
I was just gonna say that's a good thing with Shane Black's writing too. Sorry, I
Mhm.
keep cutting you off.
No.
It's tough talking about something and listening to something at the same time because you're like,
No, I get
there's
you.
like 40 things coming in your ears. But it really is cool to see like Shane Black, the way he's able to layer plot to where like every moment matters and you don't know it matters until the end when it pays off and you're like, oh, and then you could kind of watch it again with different contexts. Like he he feels like if he was working in the 90s, like LA Confidential is a movie he would have done. Like a movie
Mhm.
like that. And that's what we kind of see with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Even this to an extent has a lot of like reveals later that like recontextualize what's been going on the whole time type thing.
The Dora the Explorer watch.
You want to guess how long the first cut of this film was?
Okay, well, the what we ended up with, as I saw in the beginning when I pressed play, was 2 hours and 12 minutes. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that the original cut was 2 hours and 37 minutes.
3 hours and 15 minutes. So he had to shave off a whole hour before they put it in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanna see
And
that
I bet it was
footage.
just like I bet it was probably more like Maya Henson Aldrich stuff because like it feels
Sure.
like all the stuff with RDJ and Ty Simpkins is complete. But then again, maybe some of this stuff was cut. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just like maybe elongated. But I'd love to see
Do
a
you
director's
have
cut only for that.
a DVD of this movie, Dale?
I do.
Does it have, like, features on it,
No,
like deleted scenes? Oh,
no. Well, I don't know about deleted scenes, but it doesn't have like a director's cut. I don't think we've ever gotten a director's cut in the MCU because Kevin Feige's so like not like a puppet master, but he's like, this is the version, Um,
right.
whereas DC, it was like, we ruined your version, so like we'll release your cut for Zack Snyder,
That
which
was
is awesome.
crazy.
I think it's great because it's like that's the movie he wanted to make, and the studio didn't let him. At least here, it's like I, I feel like the difference is DC made them make that movie that way, whereas I feel like Marvel, the directors make the movies almost for the studio, like they know their guidelines going in,
Mhm.
so they're less likely to stray from the path. To where the other way around is more so they make the movie and then the studio changes things. Here it feels like the studio gives them their guidelines first and then they're able to work with it. Except for
Yeah.
James Gunn, who got a blank check on Guardians 3, and it's like the first time ever that they've been given complete control and like studio, like Kevin Feige literally stepped in once it was done to be like, all right, let's see it. Um, which is cool.
Wow.
I keep forgetting he also has like the thing in his chest too, because that hasn't been resolved yet, right?
Um,
Like he hasn't had the surgery, right? Is that at the end of this one?
yeah,
Hmm.
that's at the end of this one, I think.
See, even when you're like, it was just that one scene, then they do this stuff, and you're like, oh wait, maybe it is a Christmas film because it
Yeah.
happens a lot more than you think.
Her, I thought you were talking about her when you were
Ah,
talking about when you were referring to Ashley as a she,
mm,
and I was like, "She doesn't come in until later."
it's funny because Robert Downey Jr. in this franchise just has sexual chemistry with everyone, men,
I
women.
Yeah, I think it's impossible to do a scene with Robert Downey Jr. and not have sexual chemistry.
It might not even be sexual chemistry; it's just chemistry. It's just like he's just so
Chemistry, yeah.
because he has the connection with the kids too, and obviously that's not sexual, but it's like God hope it's not, but like it's like it's just a great
No,
connection he
I
builds
don't
with
think
these
it is.
actors that it's so dialed in. She's in a lot of things. Like she's one of
She's
those
in a lot of things.
that guy. Like how every once in a while there's an actor where it's like that guy. John
Yeah.
Bernthal, who plays the Punisher, is kind of one of those that guys. Like you're like,
Yeah,
oh, it's that
yeah.
guy. Um, but I couldn't for the life of me tell you what her name is.
No, absolutely not, but I've definitely seen her in a ton of stuff.
I'm gonna see if I can find her on IMDb because she's awesome.
Chad Davis.
So you haven't seen Gravity, correct?
No. Is she in
I was gonna
Gravity?
ask. No, I was gonna no. There's two people. No, but I was just gonna ask if you had to pick one for visual effects. I think I found her. I think her name is Dale Dickey. I think I found her. Yep, Dale Dickey. She's in a lot of westerns like Hell or High Water, Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
She's in the Mandalorian. She's in Station 19. I don't watch that though.
She gives Western her whole vibe.
Yeah, like exactly this. Like the girl you meet at the bar, like throwing back, talk about your lives. She's in Palm Springs, which is a fantastic movie. She's in a
Oh,
few
oh
episodes of
yeah,
Shame.
yes
She's
she
in one
is.
episode of Shameless.
Yeah, that tracks.
She's great. She is in an episode of Grey's Anatomy though, as Emily Gasoline Bennett. Do you remember that? I don't.
Emily Gasoline. Oh, because like a biker gang comes in. I
Oh, is
remember.
that
I remember that.
good memory?
Um, oh my god, she just like grabbed the gun through him.
Yeah. Yeah, the visual effects are so good. I want to see what else was nominated. Because obviously, like Gravity is it's amazing feat, but
Yeah.
and I still think it should have won, but it's like this is so good too, especially at the end when we get all the suits at once, and it's a mess, but it's like such a beautiful, seamless mess that it's like it shouldn't look as good as it does. So we got Gravity wins. This is nominated. The Lone Ranger is nominated, which sure. Star Trek Into Darkness makes sense, J.J. Abrams, and then The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug. So making that giant Benedict Cumberbatch dragon. So like
Mm,
solid year for visual effects for sure.
yeah. Is The Lone Ranger that movie with Johnny Depp?
Playing in Native American, yes.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
2013
And
was a different time.
and oddly enough, he's not the most problematic lead in that movie.
Who is the most problematic lead?
Army Hammer.
Oh, of course he is. Of course.
So
That
any problems you have with Johnny Depp,
weirdo.
you're like, well, the actual Lone Ranger eats people, so
Ugh.
love that effect too. Just the way it slides into the gasoline, the fire.
Yeah.
Just so good. And then she walks through it. Freaking badass. But also scary as hell. This is almost like horror film, like slasher film cinematography here.
Yeah.
The way he's hiding and stuff.
I
Like this
choose.
feels like something out of a horror movie where you like pick up the gasoline and use it, like weaponize the gasoline and make explosions and shit with
Yeah.
practical items. Like very Evil Dead, this scene. Oh yeah. Auga.
Yeah, it is giving Evil Dead.
Did you see
I
the new Evil
choose.
Dead?
No, because it looks really gross. Did you?
Yeah. I mean, it's really gross. It doesn't have the same like almost low budget vibe of Sam Raimi's films to where like I think that's the charm of those films is they're like B movies, whereas this one feels
Yeah.
like a studio Evil Dead film, but it's got some good scares. There's a
Yeah.
shot where literally you come up to this girl and she turns around, she's just chowing down on glass, and every piece of glass she eats, you see it like go down her throat, and it like you see it like kind of puncture her skin. And then
No,
there's a scene in the trailer with the cheese grater. It's exciting, but
no, I just can't. I
yeah,
just
didn't care
won't.
much for the film, but the scares were solid. The gore.
Ugh.
Ugh. And this kind of plants the seed of him wanting kids really early too.
Right.
Because up till now, you wouldn't think he would want kids. Just the type of person he is.
He's so funny. He goes, huh. You like
Westworld.
that Westworld?
These films in Chattanooga were actually filmed in or in Tennessee were actually filmed in North Carolina, in Kenansville, North Carolina.
Hmm.
Yeah. This is a funny tidbit. IMDb says in real life, Chattanooga is a mid-sized, fairly modern town, and in an ironic twist, has some of the fastest internet speeds in the world.
All right. Fun fact.
I love this kid. I love how they brought him back for Endgame at the end.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
And I love how no one knew who he was. I kind of did because I remember him from Jurassic World because that was fresher. That was 2 years later, but it was like a lot of people were like, "Who's this guy?" Like you're not a real fan because you don't like Iron Man 3. That's where you can find the cool people and not. If you
I
recognize
can't
Harley, you're a cool person because that means you like Iron Man 3.
I can't remember if that's something I knew in the moment or something that you, like, leaned over and told me. Like, "Oh, that's Harley from Iron Man 3."
Right. Just interesting because I'm like wondering how he knew. Like, because obviously Tony Stark was a celebrity, so like obviously the funeral is probably public knowledge. But like, how did he get in? Like, because anyone could have been like, "Oh yeah, I knew Tony," so Pepper must have known. They must have
Yeah.
kept in contact. You know what I mean? Like maybe he came to play with Morgan once or twice. You know, babysit or something. It's funny
I
from
like to
that
think that
shot.
they remained pen pals, him and
Yeah,
Harley.
I agree. From that shot, the way the liquid was coming out of those tubes, it looked like he was peeing on the ground, didn't it?
Yeah, a little, I guess.
You're like, "Ugh, I love shots of people in offices panicking. I don't know
In
why.
TV rooms.
Because I feel like so much when you actually go to a real office, it's so mundane that in film, it's just like, I don't know.
That's the vice president. You know what's gonna haunt me later? When we find out about his, like, freaking granddaughter, and it's Jenna Ortega.
In her first role
That's gonna haunt me for the
ever,
rest of my
and now
life
she's a
from
megastar.
that from the championship match with Noah.
Just announced, she is playing Lydia's daughter in the second Beetlejuice. She's playing Winona Ryder's daughter in Beetlejuice 2.
I didn't
And
even know they were making another Beetlejuice.
she's I have qualms with the fact that they're calling it Beetlejuice 2 and not Beetlejuice, um
Mm.
but she's also playing
Still,
Wednesday Addams. So it's like you're literally playing Wednesday Addams and Lydia Dietz's daughter. I'm like, you are the Winona Ryder of the time. She
yeah,
is
what?
the young scream queen who plays freaky goth girl so well. She's gonna
Yeah.
be the new Joyce in a Stranger Things 30 years from now. It's just gonna happen.
Oh shit, yeah. Where is my son?
Go. I like Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
He hasn't done a ton since. It looks like he's done a lot of TV. Like he was on NCIS LA. But his most notable things were like Twin Peaks in the 90s, and then um he was in RoboCop was his first role, and it's funny, his most problematic role is probably voicing the lead villain in Mulan, Mr. Vice President Shan Yu.
Sorry, I was just so distracted because it was just like another moment where like the unexpected happens. The president makes the call. He killed him anyway. And I'm like,
Hmm.
great. What does that say to your enemies? You're easily manipulated. Did you say he was the voice of someone in Milan?
Yeah, the vice president. He's the voice of Shan Yu in Mulan, who's the Hun, the main villain.
Oh,
Which it's animated, so it's like it's offensive, but not the most offensive because he's also not putting on like any sort of voice either. He's not like making an Asian stereotype voice. He's just doing the
yeah,
whole like low growl voice, but he's also barely speaks in that movie anyway. It's more so like stares, death stares, and going, you know.
yeah,
I wish there was a little more for Rhodey to do in this film. That's like one of the only things I have, against it.
yeah.
But
You're
it's not really
right.
a big criticism.
We have been lacking in the roadie department.
I feel like that's mostly every film though. Let's be honest.
War Machine rocks with an X. Sorry, maybe I do know this movie by heart.
Everyone watching this is like, Kelsey, you're spoiling things right before they happen. But let's be honest, if anyone's watching this for the first time, you're not.
Miss Chattanooga.
Oh, here we go. Here's the cameo,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
which surprisingly ranked lower than I expected in our Stanley cameo tier ranking. It didn't rank too highly.
Well, it was super quick.
Right. Well, it will be. It hasn't happened yet. There it is.
There he
I
is.
think also
Look
because
how
it's on
cute he is.
camera. I think also because it's like a video of it. Like if it had been in the room and he had like said something and then put up a 10,
Yeah.
but like it was just a quick camera shot from like the news outline. So I
God.
don't know.
Oh, and here comes Gary.
This would be my role if I ever got made it into an MCU film, which is the dream.
Honestly, that is the dream.
The dream is to either have the Pratt route of you have this much time to bulk up and you're gonna get to be funny and dance and save the world, or I'd be this guy.
If I had to interact with one of like the top dogs, like Robert Downey Jr., I hope that this is the character that I get to play so I can just genuinely spend the entire scene fangirling and not have to
Mm,
worry about like looking or doing something cool in front of
yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Spanish
I have that
tapeo.
tattoo. I don't have that tattoo. Sorry, let me rephrase. With my DVD box set, I have the tattoo. I haven't ever used it because I like as a memorabilia piece, I like to keep it, but
Yeah.
I I've not put it on. It's a water tattoo. It's not a real tattoo, obviously.
Oh, they didn't give you a tattoo gun to, give yourself a little Tony Stark tattoo?
It has enough ink to last you one tattoo, and that's it.
Don't mess it up.
Figure it out yourself. If you do you have a tattoo, Kels, or no?
What? What'd you say?
Do you have a tattoo?
No, I wanna get one though.
What? Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you had to get a tattoo that's Marvel based. What would you get?
Ooh. Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, I think I'd maybe get, like, a little Groot 'cause he's
Like
my
Baby Groot
favorite.
or like a small scale version of Big Groot?
Oh, I can't show you because it's my laptop that I'm using, but I have this, like, laptop sticker of Groot that's like a drawing. I think it would be
Mhm.
probably Baby because that's the cutest of the Groots,
It's the
I
best of
think.
the three movies, I think. That may change though. Every time I've rewatched Guardians 3 at this point, I've been like, maybe this is my favorite. But there's enough in the second one that's still like I weep.
Right now, with recency bias, I think playing a key element in my ranking, I think it's 2, 1, 3 for me from, my least favorite to my favorite.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Because one is your favorite movie of all time when asked at least like a few years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But favorite
I'll
doesn't
like
always mean best. You could say like Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite movie, but in terms of how I think these movies rank with one another, I mean that's what movies are also subjective.
right.
But I'll be honest, after this rewatch, this is definitely affirmed in my top 5 MCU films, probably as long as it sticks a landing again. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it's my favorite ever, but like it might be someday. The more I rewatch this, until next week when we watch Thor: The Dark World, I'm like, that's the best one. What am I saying?
I don't think anyone's ever watched Thor: The Dark World and went, "That one's the best one."
I think Alan Taylor would think so.
Woody? Let's ask him. Get him on the
Um,
phone.
I almost feel like in retrospect we should have seen it coming that she was a double agent because she's almost too. I hate to say this, but almost too normal to where I'm like,
Sure.
what other purpose does she have? Like,
No, yeah, that's true.
it's almost like we
I
should have
I
saw it
get what you're
coming
saying,
because she's
Bill.
not going to be a love interest for Tony, obviously. You know, because they're getting along. These two. It's not like she's a point of conflict for their relationship. What's your favorite Rebecca Hall performance? Would it be this one?
Oh, but then we also just watched her in The Town.
I was gonna say that's definitely mine. Actually, I don't know if I could say definitely. There was a great movie that came out last 2 years ago, maybe The Night House, that she's so good in, which
Is
is
that a
like a
scary movie?
commentary on grief. Yeah.
I wanted to watch that one.
And there's a movie called Resurrection she's in with Tim Roth, who plays the Abomination, where
Mhm.
it's this woman who's being stalked by one of her exes, and oh, she has this whole monologue that's all one take that's like 8 minutes long. It's freaking amazing.
Whoa.
It's like a masterclass in acting. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, "What?"
And I like how these like revelations, it's like, all right, we're about halfway through. It's not like we're taking it to the very last act and we're gonna then drop it because we have another huge
Yeah.
reveal coming. So it's like you need to pace it out well. And I
Yeah.
think this film does that really well. My
Wow,
favorite
that's
action sequence of the whole MCU is coming up soon though, and I'm very excited.
I think I know what you're talking about, and it's also
But it may have been
oh.
dethroned by a movie that's in theaters right now. I just remembered. I was like, there's also an action sequence in
Oh,
that where I'm like, there's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
that'll ever be better than this. That's the one thing I don't love about the Iron Man movies is like they rarely ever show their faces in the suits without the mask. It's always like either you're in the suit or you're outside the suit. And you know when they're outside the suit, it's likely not that actor. It's usually just a stand-in.
Right. I'm still
I love
eating
him.
that candy. Is that okay?
I will say I love when a movie, like a sequel especially, when you've already kind of like gotten to know the characters, when they pair them with a kid, because something about it just like it works
Yeah,
really well. I think of like Terminator 2. Um, that's like literally the only other one that came to my mind, but you know what I mean. There's probably others.
I'm just thinking of, like, David Harbour in, like,
Yeah.
any project he's been in with children, which is just Stranger Things.
Yeah. But even Stranger Things, it's a lot of like the kids are kind of like with each other in the first season, but then second season is when you start pairing them off with the older kids and the adults, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, like it's always fun to see.
See, and Harley tries to be there for Tony when he's, like, going through one of his things, where, like, Pepper just, like, left the room. She was like, "Good luck." And I was like, "Ah, that's so not helpful."
People, I think 2013 also, it's like interesting because like I don't think mental illness wasn't as talked about. You know what I mean? Like this is pre-American Sniper, which was really one of the first movies where it was like veterans, look, it's okay to be have PTSD. You know,
Yeah.
we'll get you through it. Even though I don't like that movie very much, but like the conversation about PTSD was almost like a bad thing, and it is a bad thing, but it's like almost like a taboo thing. Like you should be ashamed when that's not
Ugh,
the case.
I just thought of another white man I don't like when you were talking.
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, but I'm keeping a running list in my phone so I don't forget. What?
No, it's just I mean, I'm not mad at Clint Eastwood because it's like whatever, give or take. I could take him or leave him, but it's like some of the people on your list. I feel like it's because like it's one of those things you had to be there, and I feel like a lot of the actors you have on the list are like their older selves rather than their younger selves. Because guarantee if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you'd be a Michael Keaton stan. But I know you find
Maybe.
him weird. I mean, like he was the actor of the time. Like he was Beetlejuice. He was Batman.
This is him breaking into this compound in Miami is one of my favorite moments just because he's made all these gadgets and things, like, literally just out of, like, household products, and it
Hmm.
just reminds you, like, how smart, like, and, like,
Yeah,
capable Tony Stark is, like,
it's like back to
yes, he's
basics.
like, yes, he's rich and he has access to, like, all the fanciest technology and gadgets, but at the end of the day, like, all he needs is some Christmas ornaments to really fuck you up, you know what I mean?
Again, Christmas movie.
Alright, is this gonna be become a die-hard conversation?
No, no,
Because
I know I've already told you. It's the people who are watching this being like, Dylan, it's not a Christmas movie. I'm like, he usually
oh,
uses ornament bombs. Whatever.
and, like, this glove, that was a good moment.
It's very James Bond,
Yeah.
a little less refined, but for sure.
These random
To be
girls that are, like,
that
just either drunk or high or both.
say inside joke that only you, I, and 10 other people would understand. That was you in the Fiddler on the Roof 40 years later, where Golda becomes a stripper.
Oh.
The blonde
Yeah.
wig and the blue dress, that was you
Yeah, yeah,
in that
yeah.
moment. We're not even gonna explain it. It's an inside joke
No,
and it'll
that's,
stay inside.
you had me there.
Oh, is this the reveal?
Yeah.
I forget it happens this early. I thought the whole plane thing happened before this. Ah, this is the moment where people started hating this film.
It's like you're just watching it and you're going, "What? He's British?"
And I love that line too. Fortune cookies aren't even Chinese because this guy isn't really the Mandarin. It's like a metaphor before, and he didn't even intend on it being a metaphor.
Yeah.
And the guns are all fake.
Like, he's just ridiculous.
It's so extreme in the other direction that I love it so much.
And then they run in the bathroom and they're like, "Ew, it smells." 'Cause
I
he
can't
just
believe that this guy's able to have two women in bed like that. Like this man is far from the hot shot he thinks he is. That wasn't a fart. That was my chair moving. I know it sounded like
I
one. I
didn't
don't
think
even know
you
if you heard it.
farted.
I don't even know if anyone heard it, but
Thanks for clearing that up, though, Dill. He totally farted. Sorry, we're so quiet right now just because we're
it's
so,
fine.
like
I almost feel like people are like, "Thank you for stopping talking for 10 seconds." Because it's a podcast, so we wanna try to fill the air, we don't want dead
Right.
air, but also this is a commentary, so, like, we wanna give you our thoughts on the movie while actually giving you a chance to watch some of the movie.
He's just so chaotic, like, you just never know which direction he's gonna go, you don't know what's gonna come out of his mouth next.
Mhm.
His think tank thinked it up.
Shane Black actually said in an interview, this is a good time to bring this up, that he originally didn't even want to do the Mandarin thing because he thought just the Mandarin in general was a bit of a racial stereotype. So, in
Mhm.
order to kind of like use it and almost kind of commentate on that idea, he made it
Mhm.
this whole big thing that like it is just a character and like it's not
Mm.
a real thing because he didn't want to villainize a specific type of person. Then it turns out the
Yeah.
real Mandarin is someone who is far from the demographic that they're trying to sell it on TV to almost make a commentary that like to America,
Oh, boy.
they have their own sort of biases and certain faces are almost more threatening than the actual thing and a commentary on that on what we see in media as scary when in reality the real thing is something that's maybe even a little bit more recognizable to the larger demographic than we'd like to believe, in this case,
Yeah.
Aldrich Killian, who is a white man. So I really like how Shane Black almost kind of like took the criticism of the Mandarin and like rolled with it and said, "Great, then if I'm gonna have to put in the movie, then this is what I want to do with it to make it less insensitive." And I love that. I love that.
Right.
I mean, it really is awesome everything Shane Black does here, but I think Robert Downey Jr. has said he didn't want to do the movie. If it wasn't going to be Jon Favreau, he said the only other person he would have done this for is Shane Black. So, because he worked with him on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, like he brought Robert Downey Jr. back after all his substance abuse issues.
Yeah.
And he said that's the only thing that Favreau, the audience of Marvel, and I could ever actually sign off on is the quote. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. See, I almost wish that Maya Hansen had more of, like, a motive in this movie because I
Hmm.
know she just really wants him to, like, help her perfect Extremis or fix it, but
Yeah.
I almost just wish I'm like, if you're gonna make her on the on Aldrich Killian's side, like, I don't know, make her like the woman scorned who's, like, pissed that, they shared
Hmm.
this one night and he never talked to her again. Like,
Right.
because she's kinda living in this gray area, and I don't know
Mm.
I don't really know how to feel about her now that I'm watching this for the 50th time.
Yeah.
But the second mouse gets the cheese.
Does that give you PTSD, Kels?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was one of the questions we got at bar trivia.
Mm. It was one of the quotes we
Hey,
got. We didn't even get a question.
it
It was just
sounds
name the character.
yeah, it sounds like a Howard Stark quip. I don't fault you at all, Dill. I was fully committed to answering Howard Stark for that.
I mean, there was no way we were gonna get Killian. You know what I mean? Like,
No, yeah.
if it was someone very close to Howard Stark, and like
I
we were
wasn't
like,
even
ah, that was the
thinking
other
of
one we were
any of the
between.
villains.
Yeah, and especially not him. He's just not the person you think of first when you think of quotes. But he has
Yeah.
some good ones.
But that's a really good quote. That was a really good question.
This hair, I can't. My headphones are like buzzing a sec, so I'm gonna unplug and plug back in. So I'm gonna mute for a sec, but like I hope if it pauses the movie, it pauses the movie. I'll come back, I'll figure it out, but it'll
Alright.
really not look like anything. I just want you to know.
Okay. That big dude with the hammer fell out of the sky. Desperation. And then she, like, tries to do the right thing here.
Alright, I think I fixed my issue. You hear me?
Yeah?
Alright, cool.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And the movie didn't pause. If anything, it, like, skipped a second, but we're good. I love how he says that with still the calmest voice. "My temper is tested."
And
Oh,
there
I
she
always
goes.
forget. I mean, I know it's happening, but it just happens and I still jump every time.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, a little bit of a waste of a character. Not even a
Yeah.
waste, but, like, a missed opportunity to
Well,
do a little bit more.
well, the MCU is still trying to figure out what to do with women 10 years later. So,
That's true. Hopefully, the Marvels does something right with 3 women at the center.
listen, say what you want about that trailer, Dill. I'm really excited for it.
I haven't said anything negative about the trailer. It looks like a Disney Channel original movie, but I don't mean that in a negative sense, like, that's not derogatory to me. That's like, I would have watched this 20,000 times as an 11-year-old in my bedroom with my Ashley Tisdale poster on the wall. Um, I did have an Ashley Tisdale poster on the wall. She was my first crush.
Wow. That's iconic. I definitely had Troy Bolton, like,
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. Definitely had the Jonas Brothers, and I definitely had Justin Bieber back
Yeah.
in, like, 2009.
I was gonna say, but at that time, he still had his young voice, though. He hadn't hit puberty yet.
Right.
No, I know. I know. It's just weird.
Yeah, and neither had I.
True. True. Oh.
One of my favorite moments is coming up, and I'll point it out to you when it does. What are you gonna do?
Oh,
Didn't time it exactly right.
no. It's like that erectile dysfunction thing again of like trying my best to have other performance enhancing.
Oh my god.
The fire breath. I do love
That
that
was
line delivery from Don Cheadle.
you breathe
Okay.
fire? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's another one that's just, like, effortlessly funny.
I almost kind of like his performance so much because it doesn't really escalate in volume or tone. It's all
Yeah,
still the same tone no matter what stage he's at, and I kind of like that as a choice.
yeah, he stays very calm because he people with real power don't need to be loud, you know what I mean?
I love
Told
that.
you.
Is that your moment you were talking about?
No,
Oh,
I'll let you know.
it's a moment or a scene.
It's just a moment. Open the garage doors, the shed doors.
That's like a classic. Like that gives me Spielberg vibes. I don't know why. Of like the kid looking up at the sky as it pans out.
Yeah.
The wonder and excitement in his eyes. Oh, I love that. Oh, this is so cool. This movie's so freaking good.
No, I
Y'all
know.
people just don't want to have fun. You wanted offensive stereotypes. I'm sorry. You got a British actor played by Ben Kingsley and a little kid helping this guy pull off this badassery. I love it.
Do you ever see those, wait, 1 second. I'm distracted.
It's okay. We have at least another hour to talk, so we're good.
That that's my favorite moment. Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird. And he just lets him go. Because that would be me. I would be like, "Oh, people are dying around me. I'm not dying for this cause. Thank you. I've had a good run."
Peace out. It's a good moment. Oh, hello, sir.
"Oh, hello, sir."
I just love the idea that the butler is an AI. Like in Batman, you have Alfred, and you know that's the
Yeah.
only other butler I can think of. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, why is it like a trope in, like, American media that, like, our butler is British?
I don't know. Well, because the
They have
British
a
are
British
sophisticated.
butler in The Nanny.
They're because they're more sophisticated than us. Honestly, Americans are not sophisticated
Yeah, but you
as much as we
yeah,
want to be. This
very
fucker.
funny. Funny to think
He
about.
just has women in bikinis playing ping pong. Like what a guy. I
I hope it wasn't too cold in that house.
apparently the
I
game he was watching is a game that was like actually on that day. So it's like it'll actually tell you when you watch the movie, like if you can figure out what game it is. And I think someone has actually gone and like studied to see what the clips of
yeah,
the game were from. Like you'll be able to find out exactly what day they shot this scene, which is kind of cool. I don't have that information offhand, but if you look it up, you can find that.
I had a guy at a trivia match, at a bar trivia I went to, tell me what game he's watching.
Is it Liverpool?
Because when men find out that I know a lot about Marvel, they like to have a pissing contest with me and see how much I know, and they're like so he was like, "Do you know what, team he's rooting for in Iron Man 3?" And I'm like, "No, please do tell."
All right, I have the game. Do you want to guess? Oh, it's right there. Never mind. Sorry.
Doesn't he
Liverpool and
it
Chelsea.
he
Yeah.
yeah, he's rooting for Liverpool because
May
then, like,
8th,
late in
2012 is when it happened.
in, um in Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings, he's wearing a Liverpool, like, scarf or something.
Mhm. So
Um,
it turns out Liverpool won that game 4-1 that day on May 8th, 2012. So this was filmed about a
wow.
year before it came out, that scene. Pretty cool.
And
And they must
then
have
he
DVR'd it because if they needed extra time to shoot, they probably just rewound it.
oh, here's our Jenna Ortega reveal.
Yeah. With what she has like one leg or something? Or no
Yeah.
legs.
No, I think she has one, maybe one, like yeah, she's missing a limb.
All right, this is my favorite scene coming up. And probably if you held me at gunpoint, which I hope no one ever does, probably my favorite scene in the MCU still to date is this next upcoming scene, action scene, I should say.
No, it's not on your bucket list, Dale, getting held up at gunpoint.
No, but if ever, there she
Oh, there
is,
she is.
Miss Wednesday Adams, and AKA superstar. There it is. She's missing her right leg. AKA like I think probably the most talented person in this next generation coming up.
Mm.
Jenna Ortega. Like literally everything she's done. Do you watch the show You on Netflix?
Um, I'm not caught up, but I've watched the season she's in, if that's what you're gonna
She's
talk about.
so good in that
Yeah.
season. She's so good. And then, do you see the Fallout on HBO Max? The one
Yes,
about
I did
oh,
watch that, and she was
she's
really good in
devastating in
that.
that, and she's great in the
Yeah.
Scream movies. Like she's so good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It kinda
I have an
I get
obsession when people are younger than me and more talented than me, and I'm like, you are so impressive. Like,
yeah.
I almost wish I were a talent agent so I could be like, can I represent you because I want to see your career blossom and I want to take credit for it because I know I'll never be that big.
Yeah, it kinda
Take a picture. Oh
oh,
no.
excuse me. Kinda makes me unreasonably angry because I'm like, "You have just no business being this talented and this successful, and you're,
Yeah.
like, 15."
I mean, that's how I felt about like Jacob Tremblay and Ty Simpkins in this movie. I'm like, you were
Yeah.
so good at your age. I mean, all the Spielberg actors he's directed at that age, like Haley Joel Osment in AI, Steven or little kid who plays Elliot in E.T., Rachel Zegler in West Side Story. I'm like, how the hell? Who's your favorite child performance in the MCU?
Um, let me think.
There aren't a lot
I'm
of
thinking
children, but there are some.
oh, I'm just thinking about, like, all the moments we get, like a flashback and, like, a young,
I can
superhero.
tell you my favorite.
Uh, well, I don't want your favorite to influence me, so let me think of mine first.
Wait, is that Corey Hawkins?
Who the f is
How
Corey Hawkins?
Corey Hawkins is in this? He's he was in The Heights. He was Benny. He's just in
Oh,
Top Dog Underdog on Broadway. He was in a bunch of Spike Lee movies like Black Klansman and um he's in a ton of shit. But like always like he's another that guy actor where you're like, "Oh, that guy." But I didn't realize he had a small role in this. I hope they show him again so I can show you, but oh, he was in Straight Outta Compton. That's right. He played Dr. Dre.
Straight Outta Compton.
But yeah, he's like the main guy after Usnavi in The Heights. And if you haven't seen that yet, I'm gonna be sad.
In the Heights?
Yeah,
I watched In the
yeah.
Heights. I thought it
Then
was very fun.
you'll know Corey Hawkins. Oh my god, this scene is so good. Just wait, people. If you've never seen this movie, just get ready.
Ooh, it's the chest. It's the beam right from the chest that finally does him in.
It's like the opposite of Alien. It's
It
bursting out
was
the back.
good.
Oh, this is terrifying. This is my biggest fear, I think, is free
Getting
falling to my
sucked
death.
out of an airplane.
In a much more specific sense, sure, but like just in general, the idea
Just
of
like
like a prolonged death like this, where it's like like flying without a parachute, is like one of my biggest fears. Because
I
it's like
hope that like
there's no way you survive it unless like this happens. Like
I
there's just no
hope
way
that
you're
I
never
would
gonna
like
get a parachute in time. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I hope that if I'm ever free falling to my death, I like have a heart attack before I like hit the ground. Like just something knock me unconscious.
Like this is straight out of a horror film. Like this is like Final Destination shit. And Kelsey knows also what I love about this scene just by looking at it. What is it, Kels?
Um, you like, um, wait, wait. What's your favorite part just by looking at it?
Just like what's something else I love about this scene? Just knowing me and the types of things that bother me in MCU movies and what this film
Oh,
doesn't have.
it's practical. It's not CGI.
It's not covered in gray.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
clear,
yeah,
you
you're
can see
right.
everything. It's blue skies and some clouds, but there's no like abundance of gray smoke. There's a few strands, but it's not like they could have easily made this a thunderstorm where there's like gray clouds, but they do not. Oh, I love this.
No, yeah, you're right.
And Jarvis continually like adding
Yeah,
like the the lengths or the I don't know their words. Oh,
the
yay.
yeah.
Oh,
He's like, I hope you all can swim.
Yeah, right. Oh no, that would be like a James Gunn thing. If like right after the fact someone drowns because they can't
Someone's like,
swim.
ah, I can't swim.
Fuck. That's like the what is it, the ferret or weasel in Suicide Squad?
Oh,
That's
oh,
actually very James Gunny right there. Where right after that happens and immediately
yes.
boom.
This is what I'm talking about with this movie, is that there's so many unexpected moments. Like, you think that's him in the suit the whole time, and then boom, truck.
I think as soon as you see the head decapitate itself, I think you kind of know. You're like, that can't be actually him. But I
Right.
agree. Like as soon as you get
But
hit, he gets hit. You're like,
I, like, specifically remember watching this for the first time and going, and then you're
like,
like, "Oh my
yeah.
god, he wasn't
There's
in
one
the
fake
suit
out
that
death coming.
whole
There's one
time."
fake out death coming that I did really genuinely think that, and it's one of the only times where I'm like okay with a fake out death because it leads to an even cooler moment. But it's coming. You'll know.
Oh, okay, got
Because
it.
my history of the MCU. Hold on, a big moment's about to happen here.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm gonna guess. Okay, I think I have my favorite child in the MCU.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tell me that first. Who is yours?
Oh, shit. Do I? Because I just remembered more children. Um,
Just please tell me it's not one of the ones who sings the ice cream song in Multiverse of Madness.
okay. So, okay.
Was that
Well,
your pick?
they're my close second is I think I'm just, like, biased because Julian Hillard, who plays
Tommy. Yeah,
Billy, actually,
Billy.
because
I just
Tommy's
also
the
figured.
fast one,
Gotcha.
and Billy's the one that is Wiccan.
Mhm.
I just watched him in The Haunting of Hill House, and he was so good in that.
Mm.
Now, both of the kids from The Haunting of Hill House are in the MCU because Julian Hillard plays Wiccan, and Violet McGraw, who is young Nell, plays young
Natasha
Florence Pugh,
or Yelena, yeah.
Yelena. But I think my favorite besides him is actually the girl who plays young Natasha in Black Widow because I think
Oh,
she does
cool.
I think she does a really good job, and I think that she's really badass, and she gets to
Um,
do some, like, really cool things. I also
yeah,
think Natasha is just cool.
yeah, Ever Anderson, and she is actually good segue. She's the daughter of Mila Jovovich from the Underworld movies or Resident Evil movies. She is Wendy in Peter Pan and Wendy on Disney Plus now. Go check it out.
Oh!
She's really good. She's
Oh
really
my
good in that
god,
movie.
I'll have
Like she's
to.
really good in it. Yeah. My favorite, and this is actually an even cooler segue because she's also in a movie in theaters right now as the lead. It's Abby Ryder Forston who plays little Cassie.
Oh.
She is now playing Margaret in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret in theaters
Yeah.
now. So like, go check out Peter Pan and Wendy, and go check out Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, because those two movies feature some great MCU kids doing even greater performances. Like genuinely two of the best. Those are probably going to be the two competing for the Pickle Award for Best Young Actress this year. It's going to be those two, Ever Anderson and Abby Ryder Fortston. So like
Wow,
our
that's
two
a really
favorites are going to
cool
be going
name.
at it. I can't wait.
Um, I thought you were gonna say Morgan Stark. I thought that's what you
Oh,
were
she's
gonna say,
good too.
your
She's good
favorite.
too. Yeah, she's
She
just so
she
cute though, you
she
know.
yeah, she's just like a cutie pie in that movie.
But like of my favorite kids, Cassie Lang, young
Yeah,
Cassie Lang is like my favorite. I just
Cassie has
warms
some
my heart because I
great
don't love
moments.
those films as much. So like she stands out even more. I think you know. Whereas
Yeah,
like WandaVision, I love all the reasons for WandaVision, not even the kids included, but the kids do
yeah.
elevate it. But and then they ruin their reputations with that ice cream song and
Listen, they didn't write that.
we like ice cream. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It is really good. I'm messing with
Yeah.
them. They're cute. I forget how quickly the airplane moves into this sequence because like I always think of like the airplane as like the middle and then like this
Yeah.
being the final battle. It's all kind of one, you know, all kind of
No, what do you
transitions.
mean? This is a funny moment right now between, Tony and Rhodey.
Mhm. So the one moment
What'd you see? Nothing, too fast.
The one moment I think we missed is when Savin says to Killian that Pepper Potts is still in phase 2, and this is the first film of phase 2. I was like, ah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, just a little thing that I
Funny.
noticed. Yeah.
And I love when Rhodey's like, "All right, cool. Give me a suit. Give me a suit." And he's like, "Oh, sorry. Can't."
So something I like to do these who was up for the role things, and the big fight's about to happen, so I don't want to really talk over it. But well, we could talk over it because there's not a lot of dialogue. But I forgot to
Yeah.
mention before she died who else was up for Maya and who was eventually cast before she dropped out. So Gemma
Ooh.
Arterton, Diane Kruger, and Isla Fisher were considered for the role. Who do you think was cast but not couldn't commit to the role? And she's someone we'll see in a different Marvel property, not necessarily MCU property. That's a hint.
Hold on, I need to look up these names to know
No,
who
no,
you're
no.
talking
Those are
about.
names that were considered. There's a separate name from the three that was offered it that haven't mentioned yet.
Oh, you said Diane Kruger, Ilsa
Gemma
Fisher.
Gemma Arterton and Isla Fisher. None of them got it. A different actress got it, but then she dropped out and Rebecca Hall got it.
And then she's in another Marvel project.
She's in a Marvel project, not an MCU project though. That's a hint. Yes?
Michelle Williams.
No. Good guess, but no.
Thank you.
I'll
I
give you a
thought it
hint.
was a good
She's
guess.
on Broadway right now.
Oh, Jessica Chastain?
So Jessica
Oh,
Chastain
interesting.
was originally going to play Maya, and then she had to drop out for scheduling conflicts, and it went to Rebecca Hall. Jessica
Um,
Chastain is on Broadway right now in Doll's House, and she was in Dark Phoenix. That was the one I was alluding to.
not okay, not to be like this, but, like, Jessica Chastain is, like, too good for what the role of Maya Hansen was
I'd agree.
in this movie.
I'd say Rebecca Hall is too, but at the time, Rebecca Hall still wasn't like a name where like it's a good role for her. Where Jessica Chastain, I feel like at this point was already too big. I agree.
Yeah,
To where she didn't need it. It's not a role for that type of person. Like Harrison Ford's going to be in the MCU playing a role that is very much catered for like an old veteran actor. But like a role like Maya Henson, you don't need to throw Jessica Chastain, who's off of her second nomination for an Oscar for Zero Dark 30, into
right.
this. You know what I mean? I love this whole action, how everything's staged. Again, well lit, so you can see everything. Not gray, nice
It's
blues and
not
yellows.
it's not terribly colorful, but it's definitely not like the gray and
Right, it's
Sean
not clouded.
Sandler,
It's
the
not, yeah, it
September.
doesn't look like wet cement,
Yeah.
which is something I'll probably say next week. Definitely say next week.
What's what's next week? Oh, okay, I remembered.
It's
Sorry.
in the title.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
movie's just dark.
Well, it is
The
the
Dark
dark
World.
world.
Sorry, that made me laugh.
Never apologize for getting a giggle in.
Speaking of Peter Pan and Wendy, the guy who plays Captain Hook, Jude Law, who goes on to play the villain in Captain Marvel, was
Yep.
originally in consideration for Aldrich Killian.
Mm, a little turtle cooking in his little turtle shell. I
So
hate how
this,
he says that.
oh, I love it. Cook.
I mean, like, I think I he also has an accent. He's doing an American accent for this role
Mhm.
because he's Australian?
Australian. He like looks Australian though. He looks like Steve Irwin. Like he looks like Steve Irwin and Chris Hemsworth's
That's
baby brother.
that's such a funny thing to say about a person. They look Australian,
No, but
which
like it's the beautiful
no, but
blonde
no, but
hair.
you're
Like
right.
it's a good it's a compliment.
No, you're right. What were you gonna say, Bill?
Um this scene was filmed way later than the rest of the film because Robert Downey Jr. sprained his ankle on set.
Hmm.
So they had to refilm some of the ending
Oof.
because he couldn't do any running.
Sprained ankle is tough because you can't really do anything for it
Right.
other than just like ice it and elevate it, and you just have
Yeah.
to wait for it to get better.
The worst thing that's happened to me in terms of like bones like that is a sprained wrist in 8th grade. And I remember my whole last like quarter of 8th grade, I got to sit out of gym class. It was
Mm.
awesome.
What'd you do to sprain your wrist in the 8th grade?
Was playing basketball and I fell on it. Like I did
Ooh,
a fade away and it was awesome and I hit it and then I fell back and landed on my left wrist. But
oof.
it was I got to spend my last quarter of the 8th grade in a library every gym class and I wrote this killer speech and then got selected to read it at graduation. There was no like valedictorian for graduation. Instead, there was something called the past, present, and future essays. And each essay, there was like an essay contest for each one, and I entered my essay for the present, which was always the one no one wanted to do because everyone wanted to either write about the past or the future. But I was like, let's write about the now. While I'm sitting here with
Yeah.
my sprained wrist in gym class in my library, and I literally wrote this like bomb speech, and I got to like read it at graduation. It was awesome, and then I went to high school and I was at the bottom of the totem pole again, as it happens. You have an awesome 8th grade year, and then freshman year, you're
Yeah.
like,
And
oh.
then you're the bottom of the barrel again.
And
Literally
senior
the
year, you're like, okay. And then you go to college, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then you leave college and there's no more rank.
And then it's just life.
everyone's everyone's a senior.
Um, I broke my thumb and
Is
it
that
never
why
healed
it's.
right.
Hmm,
Smaller than the other one? Yeah.
hmm. That's a
You
fun
know how
fact I always knew
Nemo
about
has
Kelsey,
a
but never knew why.
Yes, I broke my thumb in kindergarten.
It was apparently Gwyneth Paltrow's suggestion that Pepper be in a sports bra and like yoga pants for the scene because she thought it would make her look more badass. It does.
Yeah?
This is the moment. I was like, shit, they killed off Pepper.
Yeah.
Because like you see that and you're like, holy shit. And you're
Yeah.
like, how does he ever recover?
Especially because he has the whole speech at the beginning of the movie about how, like, "You're the one thing I need to protect. Like, this is all for you.
Hmm.
Because, like,
And
if
I
I don't have you, I don't know what I'm gonna do." So
yeah.
it kinda, like, alludes to her, not making it out of this one.
And what I was saying earlier about Shane Black specifically not wanting to make her the damsel in distress, I like how they kind of play it up a little bit like it's meant to be that, and then later you'll see that she ends up not being the damsel in distress because she wasn't. I mean, like she needs saving in the moment, I guess, and then she falls to her death. But then you'll see that she kind of like comes back as
Yeah.
her own fighter, which is such a great moment for her storyline, I think, and their relationship, I think, too. Because it shows
Yeah.
that he can trust that she'll be okay. He doesn't need to protect her, he needs to protect himself. And that's ultimately what the film is saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I also just feel like going back to your original comment about her outfit during the scene, I'm like, yeah, also that's just comfortable for filming like 12 hours of,
Right.
you know, action stuff. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
I would want to be in a really comfortable fit,
in the
which would
first 2
be a
films,
sports bra and yoga
she's
pants.
in, like, heels and a black dress or something, and it's Scarlett Johansson has to do some stuff in, like, heels in Avengers. It's like, "No, like, stop." Like,
Yeah.
let them be comfortable. And now we have, like, Gamora and Nebula. It's such a cool 180 where it's like, it's so refreshing to see how far
Yeah.
we've come in terms of the women, specifically women in action in the MCU. I feel like Captain Marvel kinda broke that open.
And he said, and here we are on the roof. Call back from the beginning. I
Mhm.
also didn't realize that he has these, like, dragon tattoos on him.
Yeah. Which also then kinda ties into the Mandarin we see in Shang-Chi because that has a lot of dragons imagery. I mean, like, it's also well done. The
He's
10
just
rings.
taken, I feel like, from a bunch of different cultures. I've come to decide that Aldrich Killian is kind of the worst.
Yeah. Which is exactly what you need from a villain like this.
But the detailing of, like, the glowing effect from Extremis kinda acting as an X-ray, like, you can see, like, in through his skin, like, his bones and his veins and everything. Just the detailing on that is so cool. And this moment, he throws the suit onto Aldrich Killian the same way he was passing it back and forth between him and Pepper at the beginning of the I just oh my god. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's chef's kiss.
Oh,
I
those visual
have
effects are
no
so good.
notes.
Yeah. And, like, they do a great job of, like, making something that's so because it's confined, it's one space, but, like, making it seem so layered in the production design, like, so many different ins and outs and ups and downs and nooks and crannies to play with. And in the midst of it all, Christmas lights. Again, I'm not trying to sell you. I know you're on board with this being a Christmas film, but did anyone draft this in the draft?
Um,
I don't think so.
I don't think so
What was your
because
Christmas adjacent?
that's a great question.
Was it Harry Potter? No, that was probably Zach's. Chad's was a horror
Oh,
movie.
I know mine.
What
It
was your
was Mean
adjacent?
Girls.
Ah, yeah. Which I think is still a better movie than this, but as a Christmas movie though, I think this is better than Mean Girls.
And then it's ultimately Pepper that finishes him
Yeah.
off.
Again, perfect subversion of tropes. Let's play into the fact that she's a
He
damsel
goes,
in distress,
I got
only to
nothing.
twist the knife and plot twist it later, just like we did with the Mandarin. Let you make you think this is an offensive portrayal, only to realize that that's the point. Only to make the reveal sweeter. It's so good. He's just like so confused, but like also probably really turned on, and also just so impressed. He's probably just like feeling
Yeah.
so many different things right now.
Just this like coming to back to reality. Oh my god, that was really violent. This is cute. All right, Dill, they're cute.
I was gonna.
Pepper and Tony are
No, I get
cute.
what you're saying. It's like when you it's like doing a president's ranking and like putting Lincoln at number one. It's like, it's such a cliche answer, but it's also like there's a reason
They're just
that
like
he's
mom
like
and
one of the most
dad, you know?
adored. Yeah. That's not a good representation of what I was trying to say because like politics are politics. So that's like doing a ranking of Disney characters and putting Mickey Mouse at one. Like it feels boring to do it, but like
Or like picking your
there's a
favorite
reason.
ice cream flavor as vanilla.
Well, I don't know about
Is
that.
is your favorite ice cream flavor vanilla?
No, it's that is I think a boring choice because at least vanilla you could add something like cookie dough even is vanilla with something in it. Like I think putting vanilla at number one just makes you a little boring personally.
Yeah, that's what I mean about like putting Pepper and Tony first.
But pepper and Tony, it's a little boring, but it's also like the right answer. Whereas I don't think vanilla is like the right answer for ice cream.
All right.
Maybe I don't know.
Chocolate?
Christmas morning began. We're still in Christmas. Just saying. This is gonna be in the Christmas canon always. I love it. This and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, like all his films are Christmas. Are they gonna show Jenna again, or was she only in that one shot?
Is he that guy? I think he's in a Grey's Anatomy episode too.
Probably. He does Mostly TV work.
Maybe he's not, or maybe he is. Let's find
He
out.
he is not. I don't think.
What's his name?
Nope. Miguel Ferrer.
Oh, maybe then he just reminds me of someone.
You know what? It must have been just because of scheduling, because Happy Hogan was only in the first act. I'm like realizing that now. I'm like, we still haven't seen Happy, and I think it's really because of scheduling, because he was wanted to make that other movie and never did. But he was still caught up with that he didn't want to direct this. And I think it's for the better. I really think Shane Black brings such a great sense of style and humor and great plot structure to this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think he's the right choice. Because honestly, quite frankly, I don't love the first two Iron Man movies. I like the first one for what it is for the MCU, but like, I don't like Iron Man 2 at all. So like, I think this is definitely the best of the trilogy, and
Yeah.
really makes a satisfying ending to his like smaller arc.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but
And then we have Harley's new decked out
love it with Fios.
from the
That's it,
mechanic.
Fios. Okay.
Potato gun Mark II. I love that.
Like, that's just so cool. Like,
He got him a car.
yeah. I wonder if they gave the actual actor anything. Like
They
if
gave
they
him a
tried to
fat
build him an
paycheck.
actual potato gun.
That's what he gave him.
True.
That's what they gave him.
True. And residuals for every time this airs on TNT or something. The lush scenery. Oh. Back when green screens weren't even needed for this shit like this. Oh,
Yep.
I love that too.
And he's getting rid of his.
Now wait.
Yeah.
Doesn't Pepper at his funeral like have that? Or is that something else?
I think she has the original one,
Oh,
like
okay.
the one from Iron Man 1,
Right,
like
right, right. Okay.
his first one ever.
Right, okay. I was gonna say, unless she got it after this, and was like,
And then he finds the robot arm. That's the most endearing part for all of this.
Yeah, you would have been distraught.
Yeah, truly.
I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
But he doesn't say it. Oh no, he does.
I am Iron Man.
That was just a great movie.
He says
Just
it
so solid.
in Iron Man. He says it in this one, and he says it in Endgame. Isn't that
That's
the
it?
three?
Don't look it up, because that might be a trivia
I'm
match
not.
question
I'm not
someday.
gonna look it up, but I know that Captain America only says, "I can do this all day" 3 times.
And he only says Avengers Assemble
Once.
Great movie. So what we do is we do continue watching through the post
Through the
credits just
credits.
for your sakes, because we want the complete effect. We wouldn't just dip out. We
All
don't
right.
we don't leave the theater prematurely, because we also want to give kudos to these people.
The PSC.
And I guess we could play the game coined by the great Inner Geekdom champion Mara Kanopik and the great dangerous Dan Merle of trying to find food names in the credits. So Dan and Mara, if you ever happen to see this video or hear about this video, we are giving you credit for that game, because that was all your idea.
Music by Brian Tyler.
Not to be confused with Brian Tyree Henry. And I like how they kind of like do like a clip show of all the movies, because at this point, Age of Ultron wasn't announced. So like people didn't know Robert Downey Jr., there was potential for this to be his last one, because if the
Right.
negotiations didn't work out, this was also the same year Disney bought Marvel. So Disney bought Marvel, like, I think right before the Avengers came out. So they distributed Marvel, but because this and Avengers had been produced while they were still owned by Paramount or other studios, they got to keep the Paramount label on this movie. But this was like one of the first films actually distributed by Disney. So like it was number 2. So like, where was I going with this? So the
we weren't
contracts, yeah.
sure if he was going
The
to come
actor
back.
contracts, yeah. So we don't really know at this point if he's going to sign on for more. He had signed on to 3 movies and an Avengers movie, and then he also popped up in Incredible Hulk. So it was a 5-film deal. And now here, after this, is when we find out he gets extended for more. But up till then, we didn't know. Most people were thinking this was it for Iron Man.
Right.
A lot of people figured it wouldn't be, but a lot of people were like not sure how many more Avengers films or if they would even make more Avengers films or if like that was it and like that was the peak and we were now done with that. But then I think the post credits also kind of solves that because it then introduces, oh yeah, that's right, he's still in contact with all his other Avengers. But
Right.
all right, so it looks like about 10 minutes left on the Disney Plus stream, but like I think Disney Plus also puts in multilingual credits, so I think the credits will only be another like 2, 3, 4 minutes. But we can look while we're looking for names. Any last minute, just like final recap thoughts of this movie? I mean, we both love it, but after watching this again, any changed opinions?
Um, no, I still like it as much as I did. If not more, honestly.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
great,
find more and more things that I enjoy.
and it's so well paced to where like it didn't feel like we were sitting here for 2 hours. Like, and that might just be because we both talked the whole time. Yeah, Corey Hawkins, he was in that. Um,
Wow, good eye, Dill.
Literally one shot of the movie too. That's wild. I thought that said Jackie Brunch. I was like, there we go.
All
So we're
right.
looking
Well,
for names with
last time you got it right away when we saw Guardians 3.
Lucas Kevin Bacon, right? Or no, he wasn't in it.
No, you saw
Kyle
someone with the
Spicer.
name
So
like
that's someone who
Rice.
makes food. He spices things, but he's not spice. Rose. But
Sophia London.
you don't really eat rose. You can rose petals. I don't. That doesn't count. Stone. You can cook on a stone. Still not.
Campbell chicken noodle soup. How about
That's the
that?
closest we'll get, but that's a brand. It's not an actual
Lemon.
food though.
Rich Lemon Jr.
Yeah, there you go. Kelsey wins. All right, let's see if I can find one. I'm still trying. There's a baker. Still, you can't eat the baker. The baker makes the bread.
Well, you can if you're Army Hammer.
Good cycle back to
Thank
Eric
you.
Cook. That was a good full circle moment right there. All right, let's
Thank
see.
you.
There's got to be someone. Dickus. Can't eat Dickus, but you can eat. I'm not
Okay.
gonna finish that sentence.
Oh, corn, but with a K.
I didn't see it though. Shit.
Sorry.
Another
You
Dick.
want
There's
me to
Kevin
say it?
Dick. Can't.
Well,
Doesn't
they
count.
do eat spotted dick in the UK.
If that's the name of a dish, you know what I mean? Not a food.
Ooh, Christopher Swift. I wonder
Any
if they're
relation?
related.
Probably not. Swift feels a little generic in that sense. Where like I could see a lot of people having Swift as their last name. Wheat, Jerry Wheat. There we go. Whoo! We did it.
Good job, Joe.
There's also a Hero Lamb, but it's spelled Lam, so it wouldn't count. It would have to be spelled with a B to be the lamb you eat. But another twist of the game, does it count if Kelsey can't eat it? Like if it's beef.
All right. No.
Are you fully vegetarian? Or are
No,
you
not in
pescatarian?
the slightest. I
Oh.
had
Or you're birditarian, you eat birds.
I eat birds and fish.
So no red meat. It's like no meatballs, no meatloaf, no pork, no steak. Are pigs
Yeah.
red meat? Yeah. They're pink meat.
Yeah, technically, but bacon is so good, Dill. I could
Oh, you
eat
like
bacon.
bacon. Okay.
I love bacon, bro. I just had bacon for dinner. I made myself breakfast for dinner.
I could tell you had it recently because you seem to really, really like it when you were
I,
talking about it.
I was eating it and I was like, I could eat bacon, I think, for the rest of my life. If,
I
like,
mean, you probably will be. Yeah.
my arteries wouldn't shut down because of it.
Well, you can still eat it the rest of your life as long as you eat it in moderation. Like you
Yeah,
can't eat
yeah.
it every day for the rest of your life. You would
That's what
die.
I really meant, is that
Oh,
I could
okay.
eat it,
Yeah.
like, every day.
I
For,
got you.
like, literally every meal, I could incorporate bacon. You ever have a bacon wrap date? Holy shit.
No, I don't
I've
even think I've had a
never
date. I mean, I've had a date, not like a date nut.
You've never been on a date,
Well,
Bill? We'll
no.
find you someone, don't worry.
Yeah, no, I've never been on a date ever before in my life. Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, they're not all what
Actually,
they're cracked up to
I
be.
did I did a date with my eye doctor yesterday. My surgeon.
Oh, yeah.
We stared into each other's eyes the whole time. Actually, she stared into mine. I couldn't see hers,
Surgeons,
but
they make a lot of money.
if hey, the actual doctor was a little old, but like, and not, I'm not being ageist, but like to the point where I think she's married with kids. But there was a very
I need
beautiful receptionist who was very nice, and
I just
if
need to
she's
lay
watching,
down.
I know the last you saw me, my eye was bleeding, but it might be
Ugh.
nice to do an eye exam over some coffee or something. Not me shooting my shot with my eye doctor receptionist in the middle of a commentary track that'll probably be listened to for years or never
Not
again.
not this ridiculous angle of me. I just needed to lay down because my back was hurting so
I
bad.
almost kind of want to put in a fake background of you on a beach. So for anyone listening listening to the podcast but not watching the podcast, Kelsey is fully lounge mode. Her head is literally feet away from the camera at this point now, instead of 8 foot away from the camera. And all you can really see is a little arms and, and like her head peeking out of her torso a little bit, and a pillow. It looks like
Yes,
that's
I was sitting on 2 blankets. I didn't have a backrest this whole movie. I just needed to rest my lower back. My
and now
lumbar.
look at all the songs. Wait, hold on. Jingle Bells, Santa Claus is coming to town. Jingle Bells, Oh Christmas Tree, Auld Lang Syne, Jingle Bells again, the Bombay Dub Orchestra remix. And for anyone who says it ain't a Christmas movie, well, guess what, Scrooge? You
Guess what, you cockney idiot?
hey, don't just. I
Well,
just did
you
an
put on a
accent.
cockney accent for
Well,
that
because I was thinking of
character.
Scrooge. I was thinking of Scrooge. But
Oh,
like,
okay.
not everyone is who's a Scrooge is British. Every Scrooge is
And
British, but
not
not every
everyone
British
who's
person is a
British
Scrooge.
is Scrooge.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, oh, sit up.
I love the fact that this is the narration we've been hearing the whole movie. It's supposed to be like
Yeah.
this.
And again, another twist, another unexpected moment.
Yeah, like that. This whole movie has been him in a
That this
therapy
whole
session
movie was just a therapy session.
with the rough.
Seven PhDs and none of them are for psychology.
And that is what we see in Civil War, right? Or no,
Um,
he's a little older there. But it's just so good. Okay, so that's the ending of the movie. We stopped it there. Um, yeah, that's Iron Man 3. And Mark
Tony Stark
Ruffalo,
will return.
he
We get
will.
that. We get
Oh,
that
so
at
we
the
do
end of
get
this.
that. Okay, so
Yeah.
when they were filming this, I guess he didn't know for sure if he would. I guess this was the announcement that he was back for more than was from this film. I forgot they put that, but I mean, you had to assume there'd be more. But yeah, that's Iron Man 3. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back next week with yet another commentary doing this 10 years later retrospective. There's another movie that came out in 2013 from the MCU that, obviously won way more Oscars, became the number one box office highest grossing film of all time, Thor the Dark World. Nobel Prize
I
winning
was like, what
screenplay.
movie are you talking
The Nobel
about?
Prize winning screenplay.
Yeah.
It got the guy who played
It got the
Malekith.
EGOT.
Christopher Eccleston got a Grammy for the performance. It was practically like singing the most beautiful opera to choir, his performance. We'll be
Yeah,
talking about it
yeah.
next week, and I'm excited. Kelsey, really quickly, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Kelsey A. Kilpatrick, or you can follow me on TikTok, Cos13.
And you can follow me at Dylan_Randazzo at Twitter and or Letterboxd. And Kelsey's on almost there, getting a Letterboxd
Almost
up and
there.
running so you can see everything she watches, everything she rates. My review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. If you didn't want to hear us talk about spoilers, there's a non-spoiler review that I wrote on my Letterboxd, so go read it. Dylan Randazzo 417 at TikTok, and of course Dill Pickle Movie Network. If you listen to our commentary, go watch it, because there were some funny moments, especially watch the credits where Kelsey just lounges. And if you want to check out our other videos, we do more like video friendly podcasts. This was much more of an oral audio experience, but we definitely want you to check out all our other videos, and please support the channel and the podcast all you can. Give us a rating on Spotify, because sadly, because the ownership, Anchor got bought by Spotify, we now no longer have ads for Anchor. We used to have an advertisement that would run on every podcast where I'd be like, everyone sign up for Anchor. Anchor doesn't exist anymore. It's now owned by Spotify. Spotify merged with Anchor, so now it is just Spotify, and we need a certain amount of views and listens to get ad revenue again. So we are no longer getting ads. So all the help you guys can get to get this channel monetized, to get the podcast monetized, would be really helpful, because we hadn't even hit the threshold yet to start paying ourselves for the last podcast run, and now all that money's down the drain because Anchor no longer exists. So we appreciate all the effort, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week for of course, Thor: The Masterpiece.